Hello everybody and good morning. Welcome to the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. So we're going over the book by John Maxwell, Talent is Never Enough. And we are on chapter 12 today, Responsibility Strengthens Your Talent. So before we go into that chapter, we're going to go ahead and invite some people, and I'm going to try not to dip my hair in my coffee today. There we go.
Good for you.
Yep. It's good for the ends. Alrighty. There we go.
Alrighty. Dave, what's happening? Good morning. So we're on chapter 12, Responsibility Strengthens Your Talent. The strength of responsibility. We live in a culture that overvalues talent and undervalues responsibility. If you doubt that, then examine the way we treat athletes that are in high school, college, and their reckless, irresponsible acts often overlooked. So, this happens, we see this in professional sports all the time, right? We live in a culture that overvalues that talent. So John goes on to say responsibility actually strengthens the talent and increases the opportunity for long-term success, and here's how it helps. Responsibility provides the foundation of success. So responsibility along with trust opens the doors if you want to be successful long-term. Now here's the thing. You have to be responsible with the team you have. You have to be responsible with the people that you build. Your job is to basically keep them safe and find the best way for them to win. That's your job. Your job is to find the best way to win. 2, he says responsibility handled correctly leads to more responsibility. So if you look on the chart of the law of the lid, it says your responsibilities go up and your freedom goes down if you are successfully operating and running a business, especially in direct sales, network marketing. If you're going to lead, your personal freedom of what you want to do is actually going to go down the bigger you build. A lot of people can't handle that. Your responsibility goes up. You have more to do. You have more things that need to be accomplished. And everybody's like, I just want freedom. Well, freedom comes with a price, unfortunately, right? Freedom Friday. That's right, Dave. So 3, responsibility maximizes the ability and opportunity. So it's just going to open more doors. People are going to want to be around it. When you're responsible and people know that you're going to follow through and people know that you're going to complete and people know that you're going to get it done, then it's much, much, much easier to recruit people. Like, people are like, why is it so hard for me to recruit people? Well, you have to look at how you do anything is how you do everything. Do you have the reputation of completion? Do you have the reputation of getting it done? Do you have the reputation of sticking with it? Some people can get some people in, but they can't get anybody going. That's another thing. Are you responsible for the people that you bring in? Which reminds me, I have some calls to make. So 4, responsibility over time builds a solid reputation. So this is one thing that I learned from a guy I worked with, Sean. And Sean said something profound the very first time I met him, in person. He had said a lot of profound things over the phone. When I met him in person, I met him in LA, and he was a gentleman who was running basically the organization that I was a part of, and he was out in LA at the time, California. And I'd never been to LA, so I went out to LA to meet him. And across the board, everybody was like, hey, he's the guy, he's the glue. He's the glue. He's the one that put all this together. He's the one that's operating everything. Everything kind of runs through him. Now he's, way up and high in the company and everything like that. But one thing I got from Sean is Sean said every marketplace needs somebody who is the foundation of the marketplace. He's kind of like the rock, the foundation, where everything else is built upon. And I thought that was kind of a profound statement. And what he meant by that is you have to find somebody who's responsible for what's going on in the marketplace. They want to take on that responsibility. They want to do everything, be everything for that marketplace. What most people want to do is they want to come hang out. They want to come and speak and leave. That they don't want the responsibility of the marketplace. So when I learned that, I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to be that, because I don't see that in the team that I was a part of. The company had great people here, but the team I was a part of locally, I was like, well, somebody's going to have to step up and do that. So we decided to launch out on our own. John goes on to say, there's no way for me to know your personal history in regards to responsibility. Maybe assuming responsibility has been a problem for you, and here's what I've noticed. It's personality based. Responsibility a lot of times is personality based. And if you go through the personalities, the 4 dominant ones, the D-type personality really wants the responsibility initially because of the recognition, but doesn't want the responsibility long term because it restricts freedom. It restricts freedom. The I-type always wants responsibility, but has no idea what to do with it in a lot of cases, right? They're like, woo, this is great. I'm going to be the leader. What are we supposed to do? I mean, the next second, they don't even know what's going on. The S-type personality likes to be important, wants a responsibility, but doesn't want to make any of the damn decisions. So therefore they avoid the responsibility eventually. In the beginning, it sounds great. They're like, oh yeah, I'd be there for support, but they don't want to be the end-all, be-all decision maker, because then they're not liked. Then there's confrontation. Then there's decisions to be made. The C-type personality is like, somebody should be responsible for this crap, but not me. I've got things to do. C-types usually have their own agenda and stuff going on. So it's really interesting who seizes responsibility of a marketplace and who runs it. You usually have to find some pretty strong people. Or you may have a strong sense of responsibility and you never drop the ball. So you're one or the other. You're either avoiding the responsibility or you want the responsibility. It says, either way, please review the following steps to help you become a talent plus person when it comes to responsibility. The first thing is to start wherever you're at. So if you are in the recruiting game, if you're in the business, the number one person you have to be responsible for is you, which would only make sense. Your job is to set the example. Your job is to clear the path. Your job is to be so clear in what you're doing that no one can mistake the activities that you're doing and success. They're like, okay, the activities they do produce success and there is nothing else they do, so this is what must be done. I looked at where people fall short, where people have problems, where people produce objections, and tried to solve those things. Meaning, a lot of people don't know this. The number one reason why people don't actually join direct sales MLM is because they feel they'll never be able to recruit anybody. And the reality is in some cases, they're right. They're right because they haven't been responsible, because they don't follow through, because there's, they might have a past and they might not have the people to talk to, which is the number 2 reason why people don't join MLM direct sales. They're like, okay, this would work. I know I could probably do it, but I can't do it with the people that I know. So I'm going to have to find different people. How do I go about doing that? So the first one is I don't believe I'll succeed or recruit anybody. The second one is I don't believe I'll recruit anybody because I don't know the people. And the third thing is even if I did know the people, I don't know what to say. I've never done this. So by eliminating those 3 objections, you're able to recruit a whole lot more people. Be responsible, teach them how to do it, and then bring them on and help them do it. 2, choose your friends wisely. Obviously, the people around you are going to affect your responsibility. Why? Because you're like, oh, I've got to do this. Yeah, but we could go to the movie. Yeah, but I got to do this. Yeah, but we could go watch a movie. Yeah, I got to do this. Yeah, but we could go, there's a million different excuses, right, to go off and do something else. And that's what you usually find other people doing. Dave Roeder, what's happening? I saw Dave was on here for a minute. Cool. Stop blaming others is number 3. Hard to do. It's always somebody else's fault. Why is it? I used to think this. Why aren't they doing this in the marketplace? Why doesn't the meeting start at 8 instead of 7 or something like that? I was like, don't they realize that 90% of the people are showing up after they start? They just needed to start at this time. Why is the meeting so long? Why don't they do this? Why don't they do that? And here's what I eventually realized. Sergio, hola.
Hello.
Buenos dias. So why, I started making all these excuses like why this didn't happen, and eventually I figured it out. I was like, I was supposed to run this. My philosophy is not only you're responsible for your life, but doing the best this moment puts you in the best place in the next moment. So do the best with what you have around you and make the most of it. That was 3. Yep. Do what you can with what you have where you are. Theodore Roosevelt.
Yes, we can see them, David.
Yep, they're coming through. It's awesome. 4, learn responsibility. Learn responsibility's major lessons. So there's a couple major lessons here. Recognize that gaining success means practicing self-discipline. This is a huge chapter, on self-discipline. If you read the stories, it's about people who took on this responsibility and then disciplined themselves to do this. And here's the thing, responsibility, the easiest way to say it is responsibility sucks most of the time. Responsibility sucks. It makes you do things you don't want to do. It makes you commit to things you don't want to commit to. It makes you get up when you don't want to get up. But it also is a big separator. I was watching a video last night of a gentleman who won the under 220 weight class in bodybuilding for years. He's an Australian guy, super cool, amazing physique, probably one of the best arms in the business, meaning bicep, tricep, forearm, like just insanity. He was the size of Arnold, only he was 5'6", meaning the arms. Shorter, but yeah. Amazing guy. And one thing that he said is, he's like, this stuff, and they were talking about eating and being responsible. He's like, look, it's not that hard. He's like, they say we need more education. He goes, I'm eating chicken breast. He goes, and your excuse is you're eating chicken in Kentucky, and he was talking about Kentucky Fried Chicken. So it's like chicken of Kentucky. I was like, well, Kentucky Fried Chicken, yes, I know what you're talking about. And he's like, it's really not that hard. He goes, people don't need more education. He goes, they need to make better choices and be more disciplined. He goes, we need to stop getting rid of excuses and people trying to weasel their way out of it, basically. So learn these responsibilities. So here's a couple things. Recognize that gaining success means practicing self-discipline consistently. And here's the thing. If you want to do that, if you want to practice self-discipline consistently, you will have to track it. Mm-hmm. And here's where you know that you're full of crap. If you say, I'm disciplined and responsible, and you're not tracking, you're not responsible. Why? Because there's nobody else you can teach off of what you think you're going to do, which is unfortunate. And yeah, accountability is good, but accountability, think about this, accountability puts it in somebody else's hands. Oh, I have to be accountable to them. So it's really not you. You need to track it. So if you write it down and you're like, this is the only thing, and a lot of times it's just focusing on the priority. What is a priority here? If there's only one, watch this, if there's only one thing to track, then you can't say you're disorganized. You're just not interested. Mm-hmm. You're just not interested.
And accountability doesn't always work with everybody because a lot of people have a hard time being responsible for their own stuff. I've seen other people in MLM where they're like, oh, I have my accountability partner. I'm like, partner. And I'm like, yeah, but your accountability partner forgets to call you at the end of the day to hold you accountable for the thing that they were supposed to help you do. And also depending on who you are as well. Like I'll use myself as an example. I don't like people calling me every day. It annoys me because I'm like, look, when I want to go do something, I don't need somebody else to hold me accountable, and I don't need somebody else to check in on me. I'm like, if it's really something I want to do, I'm going to handle my own shit. I'm like, don't bother me. That's just me. But most other people can't handle their own stuff that they need to be responsible for, so you really don't want to put yourself in another person's hands. If you really want to go out and do it, you're going to make yourself do it.
Another thing, what you start, you finish. You have to be a finisher. And especially inside of network marketing and direct sales. A lot of people think that they can just, and I did this in the beginning. It's not just move from thing to thing, but move from, program to program within the industry. It's tough, because once you do that, you have to know, I'm starting over at zero again. I'm rebuilding all the trust all over again. And sometimes it's easier to do, right? I think I said this a while back. It's easier to work with the right people in the wrong company than the wrong people. Well, yeah, the right people in the wrong company than the wrong people in the right company, or vice versa. Why that is once you're around the people, you're trying to link up with people who are solid, because once you bring people around people who are solid, who aren't going anywhere, who aren't involved in 15 programs, usually you're able to get ahead so much faster, because that person is that responsible, okay, this is a person that we can plug into, this is a person I can plug other people into, and I know they're not going anywhere. And it takes time. I knew that it was going to take Brandy and I over a year to kind of solidify some of what we needed to do. Even if the money was good, even if the money was coming in, it was going to take us over a year because we had been in another program before. A year is kind of like the minimum to go, oh, okay, they might be serious. The second year, with success gets a little bit more. And sometimes it takes 2, 3, 4. For some people, it takes 5 years. We know for a fact, or I know this for a fact, there are people who are watching, not maybe this program right now, but they're watching, waiting to see, okay, is this really solid? Can I trust these people? It's constant. Know when others are depending on you. You have to know when others are depending on you. And the moment you recruit people, they're depending on you. Now, here's the thing. I make responsibility a two-way street. I'm like, I'm going to show you what to do. I'm going to show you what to say. I'm going to show you how I figured out how to make this work. But at the same time, it's up to you to actually do it and get going. A lot of people in the industry, in the company we're in too, talk about forced production. And I'm like, forced production, I'm not a fan of. I am a fan of forcing the result you want. You want to force the result you want to get to where you're going. But it's about personal responsibility. If you're not willing to pick up the ball and run with it, I'm not running the ball for you. What's up, Dakota? So, 5, make tough decisions and stand by them. That's one thing that people avoid inside of the business, doing things long after the feeling's gone. People want that feeling of everything being, the super nice and loving and, oh my gosh, this is so fun. And the reality is 50% of getting anywhere success sucks. 50% sucks. That's why they call it, suck it up and go do it. In the gym, you have good days and bad days, but you won't find a professional that negotiates with going in. They're like, I'm going in. Some days the workouts are terrible. Some days it feels like, the weight you used to warm up with all of a sudden feels heavy and not right. But if you do it long enough and you start doing the things, you're responsible for things like sleep and nutrition and stuff like that, you can go in and consistently move ahead. Is the minute you get off your game, the minute you decide not to be responsible with eating or not to be responsible with sleeping or not to be responsible managing your stress, all of a sudden you can go into the gym and it doesn't feel right. And it doesn't seem like you're getting anything out of it, but it doesn't mean you can't do it or you can't go or you shouldn't go. Because once you say you're going to do it. The same thing is true with the business. You can be like, I don't want to, it doesn't feel right, I'm looking at this, I'm looking at that. Why aren't you making it the way you want it? Do you need somebody else to do it for you? If you do, then you're a follower, not a leader. The people who, they're like, I want it to look like this, I want it to be like this, they will find a way to make it look like that. And what I mean by that is the environment, the culture, the people around you. Great. We don't have the right people right yet, then we're going to build them. We're going to find them. We're going to put them in a room. The meetings aren't exactly the way you want them. Create them. You really want to put your name out there. You really want your reputation. You really want to grow. Grow as a person, and grow financially and business-wise. Create the room. Create the room. Most people don't have that internal drive to do that. Most people want to just show up and it all be done for them. Where's my seat is what most people most people look for, which is tough. It's really hard to want that and then not be willing to go after it, because that's where, confusion, depression, everything else exists. You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading today. Abraham Lincoln. So number 6, live beyond yourself. Live beyond yourself means you're going to take care of other people. You're going to do some things that aren't necessarily comfortable for you, but they are for the betterment of those around you. Some people go to work like that. They're like, I don't necessarily love the job I have. I was having a conversation with one of the guys on the team, and he's like, be real honest, don't love the job. I said, but are you willing to do the job and do more hours so that way everything's good at home? And then we're going to go out and build the business over the next year, 2 years. I said, it's going to take time. It's not going to be overnight. I said, but we're going to go out and build over the next 2 years and basically buy back all that time. And then you have the best of both worlds. And they're like, yeah, I'm going to, embrace the suck is what they kind of call self-serving people, regardless of their talent and resources as what they own. Self-serving people regard their talent and resources as what they own. Serving people regard their talent and resources as what's on loan. It's me versus I'm going to go help others with this. So is it internal or external? Practicing responsibility will do great things for you. It will strengthen your talent, it will advance your skills, and it'll increase your opportunities. So the easiest way to become responsible is set a goal, track it, and then, daily show that you're on track. Now, you can do that using Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm on track, I'm on track, I'm on track, I'm on track. And what happens is that's part of it. That's part of it. That's not the end-all, be-all to recruiting, sponsoring people, but it's cute that you can do it for a month. That's nice. But people need to see something a little bit more long-term than you can do something for a month or 2 weeks or 3 months. In some cases, it's going to take years to build that responsibility foundation. But once you do it, you'll always have that responsibility unless you go screw it up. So that is what we have for the chapter, being responsible. Not a popular topic, right? Not a popular topic, but it is the end-all, be-all to being successful inside of a business. I mentioned this on our team call the other night, that somebody, when I very first joined network marketing, this is probably the main point. Somebody said this, and this kind of hit home. They said, would you be willing to go out and do 30 to 45 presentations consistently every single month for the next 2 years? If you will, almost regardless of the program, as long as it's a legitimate company, that company would be willing to pay you 6 figures for the rest of your life. You would be able to build a solid 6 figures for the rest of your life. But it's going to take 2 years. Now, here's the thing. You can't miss a week. What that means is you can miss a day here and there, but if you ever miss a continuous week, you start the 2 years over again. So it doesn't matter if you're sick, and it doesn't matter if somebody else is sick, and it doesn't matter if you have something happen. I've seen people make it to the top of these companies while in the hospital. I know one specifically that was in our direct line that did it. While they were in the hospital, they made the phone calls. How committed are you? How responsible are you going to be for your own success? And most people throw out every excuse in the world. Well, you don't know my parents, and you don't know my family, and you don't know my this, and you don't know my that. And what I can tell you is inside of direct sales and MLM, I can show you and introduce you to people that have it worse off than you do, that had less talent, less skill than you do, and they made it to the top. And I'm talking about sometimes the very top of companies, at least to 6 figures. You know, I was told that in the very, you know, there's always somebody uglier, less talented, less skilled than you that's making 6 figures in the business. So throw your excuses away and get to work. As long as you have a tracking system and you're working with good people and it's a legitimate program, you can make it to the top. So that's what I got.
Alrighty.
Happy Friday to everybody. Anything else?
So if you guys haven't subscribed to the group yet, the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show Facebook group, we're going to have each of these videos there. If you guys haven't done that yet, you might want to. And also, these videos are going to be uploaded to YouTube, so you could go follow us there as well. And I believe that is it. So Monday, we are going over Chapter 13, Teamwork Multiplies Your Talent. So,
Last chapter of the
with
book.
that, everybody have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you on Monday.